What's up, everyone? Today's video is another tribute to James Willstrop, and I'm going to highlight some of his best rallies from the recent ongoing Canary Wharf tournament. Now, if you haven't checked out the recent tribute I did and I created for James Willstrop, I'm going to link to it here, so take a look. It goes into details about what he does so effectively. And this video is a little bit of a complimentary video to that, where you get to see the end of a bunch of rallies where he wins those rallies in spectacular fashion. So on that note, here is what I plan on doing in this video. We're essentially going to celebrate and appreciate Willstrop's ability to finish points. And I'm going to show you highlights, the last 3-4 shots of each rally, so that you can see how phenomenal that clinical execution is. The other big part of today's training is to give us all hope and motivation, knowing that James Willstrop is 38 years old and taking out top 20 players and pushing even top 10 players is just a huge source of inspiration for me personally. And I hope that this shows you that you too can do anything. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that you're going to go become a top 10 player in the world if you are 40 years old and you haven't played that much squash. But what I am saying is that for each of us, given our relative standard, our experience, I hope that we take the inspiration that anything is possible, seeing James Willstrop come through. Now, I do want to make one comment here, and this is in relation to something that someone posted on the YouTube page recently, and it's something that I agree with. So they said, you know, it's tough to relate to what the pros are doing because they're playing a different game. And if you're an amateur and you're a recreational player at a club, it is very difficult to do what the pros are doing. It's practically impossible for many people because the pros have such a high skill level. But the thing that I'd encourage you guys to think about when you're watching these videos is to start increasing our squash IQ and increasing our squash intelligence. It's about raising our awareness of what is actually happening. What is my opponent doing? What am I capable of? And then consciously thinking about the options that we have. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to execute this 3-shot combination perfectly, and you might not be able to execute it relentlessly and consistently, but before the 3-shot combination video was released, and if you haven't checked it out, I will put a link to it over here, you probably didn't know what the 3-shot combination was. Now you're aware of what the 3-shot combination is. You are now consciously thinking about potentially structuring your rallies in such a way in order to increase the chances of winning. Now, will your straight kill be as effective as Willstrop's? No, but for your level, it might be. And now, if you go and practice that straight kill consciously, knowing that, hey, I'm going to use that as my setup for the 3-shot combination, well, all of a sudden, it's a different story. So I hope you guys take this in a positive way. I hope that you practice everything that we're talking about. I hope you raise your awareness, and I guarantee you that it will improve your game. Now, one thing I want to say is do not just watch these highlights. They're going to be, I think, about 2 minutes. So 2 minutes of highlights. We're going to basically see the last few shots, like I mentioned, of all of the rallies that Willstrop won through his match against Abouelghar. But stay tuned, because there's a little twist that we're going to look at after. You know I can't just put highlights up, although the highlights are awesome. So here we go. Let's check these out. And look at that volley drop straight in the nick. Look at that hold straight drive. Abouelghar had no idea where it was going. Gets the angle, plays the amazing trickle boast. The long trickle boast. That's a tough shot. Another clinical volley drop, and a guy of Abouelghar's speed can't get it. That means it's pretty good. Another outstretched early volley drop. Look at that drop shot. Gets the angle, hits the nick. Beautiful. Another nick with the angle. It's so amazing. Nice. Gets the second bounce fading into the sidewall over there. Plays the short boast. Abouelghar can't get it. Beautiful. Look at that line and length with a little punch with the forearm and the wrist. I think I show you the whole rally in this one. Or no. Yes, this is the entire rally because this was just crazy. And that was down. And look at that second bounce. Okay, so this is where the real learning comes. So now I tried my best to be quiet and contain my excitement during those highlights because it's awesome to see the highlights, but what we're going to do is we're going to get to the root of everything. That's, if you could take anything away from this video, it's the philosophy of getting to the root of whatever you're looking at. If there's a problem, let's get to the root of the problem. Let's not look at surface level stuff. If we're admiring some highlights, let's get to the root of what allowed Willstrop to finish the ball the way he did. I'm not taking anything away from the finish. His finish is phenomenal. He's put in thousands of hours of accurate, consistent, deliberate practice into that volley drop, into the straight drop, into the line and length that he's hitting. But what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is to now look at the 2 to 3 shots preceding the winning shot. And that's what we're going to do right now, and we're going to do it in slightly slower motion. And I want to ask you guys what you notice. The real test will be, if you're super keen, go back and watch those highlights again. And then yourself look at those 2 to 3 preceding shots and see what you can figure out. And then if you guys do that, and here it is, go back and do the homework and then continue forward and check out what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this in slow-mo, and I'm going to talk you guys through what's happening in the preceding shots. Now, if you haven't watched the highlights again and done this for yourself, if you really want to extract maximum value, please go back and do that now. Rewind the video, go and do it. If you have already done it, stay with me. So check this out. That cross court that Willstrop hit, not the best cross, but Abouelghar tried to hold the ball a little bit extra, and by holding it, he hit a looser ball. Willstrop is ready on the tee, putting that volley in. And his execution, this is where the crazy skill is. Like, he was pretty stretched out and he just hit it above the tin. I'm not saying that you have to hit it above the tin. If you go back to my video with ELIAS, I showed how he uses the high drop all the time. I'll link to that if you haven't seen it. But Willstrop has practiced this so much, and against the guy who moves as well as Abouelghar does, who's so fast into the front of the court, Willstrop is really being the marksman that he's known for. And he caught the nick, and the ball basically rolls out. Now over here, Abouelghar plays the nice drop, and look at Willstrop's defense, which suddenly forced the loose ball from Abouelghar, and now his defensive position, the lob, created the offensive opportunity for him. So this is really, really important to know. If you hit a good enough lob, even if you're under pressure, you can reverse the rally. And then over here, look at Abouelghar's position. And Willstrop holds, his body opens up, his chest and his racket go across, showing the cross court. That's why Abouelghar moves cross at first, and then Willstrop gets the deep enough line. The ball bounces deep enough. Abouelghar is too slow to come, which is why it is a no-let. Let's keep going on from here. Abouelghar goes for the attack. Willstrop plays the lob. Abouelghar gets a nice cross off of it, but the cross gives Willstrop just a little bit of an angle. And from this angle, he changes the pattern. See, Abouelghar's first movement is back. Because Willstrop has the angle, most players with the traditional pattern would hit that nice drive, trying to find the second bounce in the back corner. And Abouelghar starts moving there. Willstrop uses this nice short angle. And the really cool thing is, if you see Willstrop's technique, he's setting up from here. He likes to set up from this position, and then he sometimes holds and then snaps straight. He can go with a full drive. And from here, you see him really swing through the ball fully as though he is hitting a drive. And that adds to the deception as well. And Abouelghar can't get under that ball. Now in this rally, again, good defense. Look at that. Willstrop's under pressure. He gets the ball nice and deep. They're basically rallying. Another rally ball. Look how tight that ball is. Right when Abouelghar's about to hit it, that ball is literally on the side wall. Forces the loose ball. And there's the clinical finish. So see, it's not just a drop at the end of the day. When Willstrop is under pressure, he's playing such accurate rally length that he is actually reverse squeezing the opponent. So now we've seen it with a lob. We just saw it with a rally drive. We see it when Abouelghar gives him even the slightest angle, he's attacking it and he's picking his opportunities because he has that skill level, obviously. So now let's check this out. Phenomenal drive from Willstrop. Nice push there. See, he didn't go for that short drop. He played a slightly longer drop. Abouelghar's movement was going forward and then he had to recover. From this position, it's hard to do much. So he goes for the boast. It's a bit of a high boast, and then Willstrop can set up. He uses the hold and then makes Abouelghar work. He's up on the tee, recovering, and then he's massive so he can stretch like this. But look at the angle of the body. His back foot is here. His front foot is slightly in front of his back foot, and his racket is even further in front. So he's not going laterally across. If you look at me going into the camera, he's not going laterally across. He's actually leaning forward and taking the ball early. So now he's taking even more time away from Abouelghar. And look at Abouelghar's tee position because Willstrop took the ball so early. And that time, because he was more stretched out, check this out. Because Willstrop was pretty stretched out, what's his target on the front wall? It's actually, the tin is 17 inches. That's at least 17 inches higher than the front wall, because in this position, he's more outstretched. Abouelghar is way back. Willstrop knows that because he's taken the ball super early. So he doesn't have to aim that high above the tin. And he's not as stable as he was in the previous one. He maybe his backhand, he feels more comfortable. So maybe he likes to be a little bit finer on the forehand here. I think it's a situational awareness. Maybe it's a technical confidence thing. I don't know. Probably not, because he is the marksman. Definitely situational awareness, taking the ball early, knowing that Abouelghar's in the back. He knows he doesn't have to be that fine. Maybe not totally on balance the way he's maybe used to. So he goes a bit higher. And even then, he catches that little sidewall nick and the ball sorts of bounces out a little bit. Abouelghar can't get it. And like, he's looking at him. He's like, what do I have to do? Now in this one, again, Willstrop's under pressure, tries to lift, not accurate enough. Abouelghar plays the drop, but it's loose. So see, look how Willstrop accelerates. And this is in slow motion. So he plays the loose ball. Look, he knows he has to push up. So he plays the loose ball. He pushes up to the tee because he knows he has to cover the front and the back. Abouelghar plays the drop, not the tightest drop. Willstrop wants to get on this ball right away and then plays a nice aggressive cross court. Ball gets a little bit deep. Abouelghar can straighten it, but he mishits it a little bit. And Willstrop's execution, perfect. So again, it was perfect execution, but it was the acceleration onto the ball. So first adjusting his tee position, knowing he had a loose ball, then accelerating onto the ball and hitting an accurate cross court that forced the loose ball, which then gave him the opening. So always looking back a couple of shots is key. Now here, Abouelghar plays the drive and Willstrop gets on it early. Because he gets on it early and he knows that Abouelghar played the drive from the back, he plays a bit of a kill shot. And as a result, Abouelghar is really stretched out because his momentum is sideways and backwards. He now has to move forward. So that's great awareness from Willstrop. Forces the loose ball. He knows Abouelghar is behind him. And he goes for that clinical execution that he's so good at. So now in this rally, Willstrop's playing using height the way he does. Abouelghar attacks. It isn't that great, but Willstrop uses his lob. So again, putting pressure on Abouelghar in this back corner with the lob. Abouelghar squirts the ball out a little bit. Willstrop's awareness is super, super high, knows that Abouelghar is stuck behind him. Where's the open court? Front left. And what does he do? puts the ball in there, doesn't try to be super fancy, super fine, not going for a nick, just puts the ball on the front wall relatively high, probably a foot above the tin. And where does the second bounce go? 1, 2, second bounce into the side wall, well in front of the short line. Abouelghar is nowhere to be found. So again, started off with that good defense, forcing, or just if your opponent hits something kind of loose, look for the open space in the court, put it there without trying to get too fancy. Simple, right? Sounds simple, not always easy to execute. So next one, so look at that serve. Catching the sidewall, Abouelghar standing a bit deeper, catching the sidewall at the back. Abouelghar scored something out a little bit. Again, same situation as the last rally. Abouelghar stuck behind him, so where's the open part of the court? Front left. The difference here between the last situation is that in the last one, the ball was looser and Willstrop was in a slightly more, less pressure-based situation. So he played the cross-court drop. Over here, what does he play? He just plays a nice boast, and Abouelghar is going for it, but the ball is bouncing again. Second bounce well before the short line. The second bounce is almost exactly where it was in the last rally, fading into the sidewall. Now here, so again, pressure from the serve. Look how low and deep Abouelghar is on that serve. Gets the looser ball. Willstrop goes for the hard target in the back, but misses the target, catches the side wall. Abouelghar plays the boast, and then look at that hold flick, and Willstrop even catches the nick off of that. So see, from this position, off of the boast, Willstrop has many options, but see how he uses momentum? He's putting his entire body in, and right when his entire momentum is going forward, he flicks with his forearm and wrist, flicks that ball straight down the wall. Abouelghar sees the cross. It's a hard ball to read. He's strong. Abouelghar is strong, so he recovers. But notice he caught the sidewall nick over there, which is just phenomenal, that with that flick of the forearm and the wrist, he caught the sidewall nick. And then the second bounce is dead in the back wall. Like that's phenomenal. Again, good serve, preventing the volley. Getting the ball deep. Applying the pressure with the straight drop there. Nice defense by Abouelghar. Lifting the ball to get it out of the way. Abouelghar goes for the cross. Willstrop puts it in. So even if you look over here, when Abouelghar goes for the cross, Willstrop gets on it early, and because he knows Abouelghar took the ball back here, and Willstrop sees it, reads it, gets on it early, look at his angle of his body. He's moving forward and taking the ball out in front, which is taking even more time away from Abouelghar. Puts a nice drop in, not going for the nick, but getting that ball squeezed on the side wall. Really tough dig. Abouelghar super fast and talented, so he gets it out. There's a little fan fake. Abouelghar does well to hold his movement for a second, puts a lot of work into the legs. Willstrop gets a nice cross. Look at that stretch in the work that Abouelghar has to do here. And then Willstrop continues to volley, applying pressure. Another volley. See, Abouelghar, like, this is hard work for your opponent. If you can stay on the volley like that, and they're going all the way back and then pushing up, knowing that they have to cover the front and then recover back again, a lot of work. And that's tight as well. And then gets the loose ball, goes for the cross-court kill. And now see, this one was interesting because Willstrop could go for a short cross-court, but this one actually went deep. So if you look at Abouelghar's movement, watch. He starts to go forward because he's expecting the ball to land shorter, and then he has to adjust back. And by that point, the ball's taken its second bounce. Like, just really, really good awareness from Willstrop, and great execution and use of angles and changing patterns over here. Now, I should say, part of this is definitely conscious, but a lot of this has been practiced and programmed so much, and it seems almost like unfathomable that someone could be doing this consciously in the moment while they're playing at such a fast speed. But it is and it isn't, because it's part of muscle memory. It's part of all the practice. It's part of 20 years of him playing at this level and practicing these things. And then it's the heightened awareness through all of the practice that he's done and all of the experience he has to know where his opponent is and what angles to use. So I know you're not going to be able to execute this right away, but if you're aware of it, you can see what's being done, then you can focus consciously on one aspect of many of the things we're talking about in this video. Choose one thing and then go and practice that one thing. And then I think this is the last rally. Gets the loose ball, really uses that drive. So same thing. And this is again a use of the 3-shot combination. And if you haven't watched it, I'll link to it again over here. Getting that ball deep in that back corner. Second bounce is going to the back, so Abouelghar has to cut it off before the back glass. Forces a loose ball, puts in the drop, and gets on it early. Abouelghar is pretty far up. Willstrop jumps on the ball early and hits that perfect line through the court. Again, if Abouelghar let it go, second bounce was dead in the back corner, so he has to get it. Ball is glued. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't get it up. So, like I said, the whole goal of this video was to get to the root of the problem, or the root of the amazing stuff that's going on. So if you noticed, it's always the shots before the winning shot, at least at this level. It's rare that the opponent just fluffs up a loose ball. So you have to set up your squash. You have to set it up with the good length, or the lob, or the boast, or the straight kill, or whatever it is. There's always some structure and setup in order to then create the opening. And to that point, there are multiple ways to do it. Like I said, Willstrop used lobs. He used the volley by applying pressure and sending Abouelghar back and forth on the tee. He used the long angle for the trickle boast. He used drops. He used drives. He held the ball. So these are all ways in which you can create the opening. You can force the opening out of your opponent. Now, obviously, if you're at a lower level, you might not have to do it more than once in a rally. Or you might not even have to do it in a rally because your opponent might give you that loose ball right up front. So adapt this to your level. And even if you're at a lower level and you don't need a ton of structure, if you add that structure, imagine how many more loose balls you'll be getting. So now I'd like you to reflect, or I'd encourage you to reflect upon how you set your rallies up. And if you're not sure how you set your rallies up, that's amazing, because we just raised your awareness, because now you're going to think about it. And then I'd encourage you to think about how you would like to set your rallies up. How do you want to set your rallies up? Because now if you go in with that purpose in your training, you will actually consciously learn, which will now start truly training your brain to imprint those patterns in your brain. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown of not just the highlights in Willstrop's amazing stuff and his skills and all of his hard work and the hope and the inspiration from his age, but also I hope you take the learning points, the lessons, and the structure that I'm trying to get across in this video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and if you are enjoying them, I would really appreciate it if you shared this video with folks at your club, your family, your friends, whoever enjoys squash. I'd love to see the channel continue to grow, and I appreciate all of you guys that are supporting it. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.